Like, like, do
What?
you remember for a
by
month?
saying that though, you're saying that the multiplayer is not fun.
I am saying that.
Okay, so you're
Like,
hating on it.
Greetings and welcome to Supply Drop. We're supplying your weekly drop of the latest gaming news and happenings with low sodium options. My name is Nate. I'll be your host. I'm joined by two elder statesmen, the first being Scott.
Hello. Hey, Nate. How you doing?
Nate's doing good.
All right.
Nice, bouncing it right back at me.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, you know, I care.
Yeah. Yeah. And our second co-host, or our third co-host, or our first host is Thick.
Hello.
What do you have for us today?
A lot of great news, I guess.
A lot of great news. That's good. That is good. I was kind of hoping.
Does.
Yeah. It's funny listening to Scott's review of that mic. I was like, oh, that's like Thick. You saw the review, right? Not the mic,
the mouse.
The mouse.
Oh, the mouse. My mouse review. Yeah.
We will love it. You're gonna be editing our videos in the future, right?
Oh shit. I mean,
That's
oops.
true.
That's the resume, right?
Do you guys remember game trailers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
remember
What's
that
still
one-
around? Yeah.
Game trailers.
they're
They had that
bots.
one guy with the amazing voice. I feel like that's Scott for us.
A one man, one mission. You know
Oh,
is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know that guy. You know,
Yeah.
they have their own channel now. It's I think
Yep.
Easy Allies.
Yeah, we don't talk about inferior podcasts though.
Oh, they're not. Well, they do have a podcast. I do like their podcast, but
Yeah. I guess we'll jump right into it. Thick, how was your previous 7 days of being a fan of this hobby?
Of this hobby.
Ooh,
yeah.
wow.
Are we
This
gonna talk
hobby
about
known
it?
as gaming.
Oh, okay. Well, as you may know, as of Wednesday, we could kind of ring the bell on this one that Stadia is now officially dead.
Mhm.
I decided to, I haven't logged on in a long time. It's just because like, there's not many games I would really play that I can't really play elsewhere, and I think that's part of the problem. But I mean, I'll give you guys why, like the three pillars of why it failed. But I'll just tell you about the last day. So the servers turned off around like probably midnight Pacific time, right? It's because I'm on the Pacific time.
Mhm.
So I just like hanging around. I was just playing a bunch of random games like Wreckfest, Outriders. I mean, there are good games on there. It's just none of them are system sellers, right?
Right.
I wish I had Doom because I remember when they first revealed Stadia, Doom was kind of like their game. It's like, hey, we can run Doom like pretty good, and that's us saying that we're confident in the product. But like right around like 12:05, certain games started going offline. Like
Mhm.
it just started giving errors, and then I think I lasted until 12:30 for like
Yeah.
Division 2, and then yeah, that's where it just kind of ended. What's nice in Division 2 is it has cross progression, so whatever I did in that game is on the PC version.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's play.
Yeah. Same with the Destiny 2. Like sometimes it's easy just because of how big the file is for Destiny 2. It's nice to just be able to play it like through game streaming because like it's like 100 gigabytes, I think, like otherwise.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was just kind of following the subreddit. A lot of people were just like, kind of sad about it. And, I think like this is kind of like the best call, that Google could really do. Because honestly, it's just kind of like sitting, like, they didn't really support it that much near the end. And it was just kind of like inevitable, right?
Yeah.
But I'd say like, if I were to sum up 3 reasons why Stadia failed,
Let's have it.
I'd give you basically 3 things. I'll sum it up real quick: strategy, timing, and perception. Yeah. So strategy is like the way they presented the platform,
Mhm.
because I think they're the only cloud platform to kind of present themselves as like this new platform, right? Like a brand new. It's like having a brand new console, right? Like everything that you will do in this, like friends list, your gamer tag, or everything is done within this ecosystem. It's its own ecosystem,
Right.
and like you basically have to buy the games again, right? And that's kind of a hard sell, especially as if you're Google, because the perception, and that's one of the key pillars I would say, is that Google kills everything, right?
Right.
And I don't necessarily agree that they do, because I think if you actually look at that list, like a lot of the stuff that's on the Killed by Google website has either been integrated elsewhere, or it's just like a small regional thing. Like no matter how big the project that is on there. So it's not always like as black and white as it seems. I don't think Google kills everything, but I think they made the right call to kill this product just because of how it was going. By timing, I would say it kind of reminds me of the Wii U a lot. Because the Wii U came out like a year right before PS4 and Xbox One, right? So like it kind of had this really odd launch schedule, and then by the time the next consoles launch, it was already in bad shape. Yeah, antiquated, right? Basically that's kind of like how Stadia was. It was like I think it was 2019 when it launched, and then come 2020 you got the new consoles, and what Stadia kind of touted that it kind of had was like really good load times. Like I was playing Destiny 2 and it was super snappy when it first came out, but then once that came to the new consoles, it was kind of like if you had the space to download it, it was kind of no point.
Right.
And they touted 4K, 60 FPS. They couldn't really meet that. I don't know the reasoning for it. Maybe it's a technical reason. Maybe they didn't have the hardware for it, because I think the whole cloud gaming thing is a lot of overhead for any sort of company that decides to take it on, because you got all this hardware dedicated to this in the background, and if it's not being used, it's just kind of like wasting server space.
I have a question. I listened to your 3 pillars, reasons why, and it makes me think, Thick and Scott, how many hours did you each put into Stadia? I put in 0.
You guys put in
0.
less.
Yeah.
Oh, so you put in 0, I put in 0, and then Thick, how many hours do you think you played?
Well, let's see. I did support it from the very beginning, right? Because
so you're at least feeding the beast.
Yeah. Like in the beginning, I definitely know the sentiments that Google might kill it off, right? But I've been kind of like used some of their other things, like I remember Google Buzz, right? You guys kind of remember that?
No,
like
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Okay, it was basically kind of like or actually, I forget Google Buzz. I might not have used Google Buzz. I think it was Google Plus, and they just when that thing closed down, they just gave me all the files from it. I remember that.
What was it?
That was like their social media thing. Like
you
guys remember?
Yeah,
like,
I do remember
you
that.
Put your friends into circles and whatever.
Yeah.
And I dabbled in it, but no one really used it, and that's the reason for them to just kind of axe it, right? They axe their underperforming products generally. Sometimes they do axe their kind of like mediocre performing products, just because they have other similar products, like Google Play Music. I think I really like that one. But then they kind of axed it. They merged it with YouTube Music, which I mean they both had their pros and cons, but I think overall I'm okay with it.
Thick, you're avoiding my question.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just adding some context to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I put about maybe 100 to 200 hours.
Oh, you did? Okay,
yeah,
you did.
Yeah. So
All
right. I think I have a fair view of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say that I was a fan. I'm not necessarily a fan, to be honest. Like I'm more like I was interested in it because I was in the beta, and the beta is good. It didn't have all this like this business model ready, right? So it's like everyone was wondering how it was. People were saying it was the Netflix of gaming, and that's another perception issue, right? They never shook that perception because they never made it into the Netflix of gaming, so people were disappointed.
Oh,
and
what? Let me ask you this real quick. What percent? Like, you weren't using Stadia at your house, like where you play your regular video games, right?
Sometimes I would use it in bed because I'd have
Oh,
like
sometimes you would.
the what do you call it? Those extra phone controllers. I just hook it on,
Oh, okay.
and I just play it that way.
Right.
Or because I'm just kind of interested in how cloud gaming is going. I would play like um, Luna, XCloud, and Stadia. And sometimes when I'm on vacation, like I was in the Bahamas and I tried all three, and it was Stadia that actually came out on top, like in terms of performance.
Oh, was
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Like I would always say that Stadia probably has the best backend technology for cloud gaming. So that's why it's kind of a shame too. Like it's a little sad, but I mean the business model was just not going for it. Like basically you had to buy your games full price. They
Yeah.
did have sales. The launch was kind of like very. It was almost like the Xbox One launch. Like there was a lot of confusion around it. Like, oh, you have to pay the subscription to, play Stadia, and it was actually optional, but it was required for being a founder, which was like the first 3 months, which was essentially beta. And I think if they just called it a beta and gave it a very like humble launch, it would have gotten a different a different view. Although, people will always say that Google kills everything, so you can't really change that. Like it's
Yeah.
up to Google to kind of change that in a way. Like they got to make something compelling enough to kind of override that, but they didn't. So
Yeah. Now, Scott, I'm listening to Thick right now, and Thick bought what they were selling. Me and you
Mhm.
did not buy what Stadia was selling. Why didn't me or you why weren't we believers in that?
For me, it wasn't so much as like, going into it, I knew that Google, and sorry if you can hear the dog in the background. Can't, there's nothing I can do
Oh,
about
it
that.
sounds cute. It sounds adorable.
Yeah.
If going into it, I felt like Google was just gonna cancel it.
That's a very common sentiment. among a lot
Well,
of people, yeah.
it is for people like me and you, but maybe somebody that's like, hey, I don't want to buy a new console. The Stadia thing looks pretty cool. Maybe I should just get that. The typical
Yeah.
person that wants to just get into gaming. So I kind of looked at it from both angles. And again, I've said this before on the show. I don't think cloud gaming is there yet. I don't think it's something that can replace what I'm already experiencing with a console or a PC or even on a phone. And I have good internet. It's not the best, but if you have to rely on that for your gaming experience, right now I just don't think it's. I don't think it's there. It's not something that I think I want to trust with, the time I'm putting into a video game to have that experience where it is, pinpointed accuracy on, just about anything.
Yeah, this is why I agree with that too. It's because regarding like my pillar of strategy, like they made this into its own product rather than a complementary product like xCloud, right?
Right. They wanted this to be like your console experience.
Yeah.
Right. And that may have been a mistake.
Yeah, that was I think that's the biggest mistake in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like their early adopters are like hardcore gamers, right? That's who they kind of want.
No, I think
I don't know.
I feel like there's some articles that say that this was marketed at no one, kind of.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I would say that it's really meant for people that don't have time for gaming or just want to try games.
And that's like a stupid market to go after.
Yeah.
If you don't have time for gaming, let me sell you on a gaming product.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you might buy that one game. Yeah.
A lot of people were they call them daddias, right? Because they're dads that play, and I'd see a lot of pictures on the Reddit where it's like they're with their kid, like they're looking over the kid and they're just on their phone playing a console quality game, and that was just kind of like their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's okay. But I did spend some time on the Stadia Reddit because I was interested in it just like you. I would have tried it if they said, hey, send you a controller and try it for a month or whatever. I would have totally done that. But
yeah, so there was one time that they it almost looked like it was starting to improve. It was Cyberpunk's launch. They actually had one of the better versions of Cyberpunk that had like
Wow.
the least amount of issues.
Yeah.
Oh,
And what they did was, if you bought the game, they would give you the hardware for free.
Oh, really? If you
Yeah,
bought
like-
Cyberpunk through Stadia.
Yeah, you
Wow,
would
that's
get
cool.
the Chromecast and the controller. I got my cousin to actually buy it, and he liked it. He's impressed by it. So
Yeah,
So you're
and
co-
you're essentially playing on a PC, and that was essentially the best launch platform to play that on. So
yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Thick, who's the torchbearer for streaming right now? It's Microsoft?
I think Microsoft has the best model so far. Like
Yeah.
GeForce Now is kind of messy,
Mm.
and it has the queue problem that a
Mhm.
lot of people don't like. You know, like there's a free
What's that?
tier, like you get like an hour, but you have to wait in the queue sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did not have a good experience with GeForce Now
okay.
at all. But yeah, it's Stadia is it was a good test run, but I think that yeah, I that's a good assessment. I think their marketing was a little off.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, if you go to the Stadia Reddit, a lot of people were really happy with it. I mean, they were
Yeah.
talking about it, but there were also people, they were admittedly like, I don't want to spend money on a console because I go out of town a lot, you know, or
Yeah.
I got 2 kids and I only have like, 45 minutes, before I go to bed to even play a game and, things like that. So, yeah, I think it was more of just that it's kind of a weird, like, mainstream niche.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people that are buying your product are just everyday people and not hardcore gamers, but yet it is a niche because they're not going to spend a lot of money with it. So yeah, it was kind of just doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Google's struggling right now.
But
Yeah.
there's one thing with that I want you to remember
Mhm.
for later in the show. Phil Harrison saying, "Hey, everything's cool. We're still here, and Stadia is flourishing, and we're going to be around for a while."
Okay,
So
Phil.
Just keep that. Just put a pin in that, and we'll come back to that a little bit later in the show.
Okay. That's good. Scott, let's jump over to you.
Mhm.
How was your last 7 days?
Ooh, wow! Like
Come on now,
a
be
little
honest,
bit
be
of a
honest.
roller coaster.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a lot of stuff that we're going to get into
Okay.
going up. But I did here's a little positivity for you before we get into that. Do you know what C's Candies is?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, Nate, you don't know about C's Candies?
No, what is it?
It's the best candy in the world.
Really?
I think so. I don't know. What do you think, Thick? I think it's the best.
I'm not much of a candy person, but I see it a lot. There's actually one like a couple blocks away from me, like a C's candy store. So
Yeah. My mom used to live in San Francisco, and she would send me C's Candies. And I got a box for my birthday. And it is if you can get it on Amazon now, so you can just order it. So if you like, like chocolates, like, assortments, this is the best. So I wanted to share that because I want to put it out there, a little positivity.
I-
Get a
You're
little
a
bit of
believer
chocolate.
in this candy. You're a believer.
I am. I love chocolate. So
Oh, this is like fancy chocolate.
it is fancy. Yes.
This is
It's-
highbrow chocolate.
This is not
Mhm.
like, Lifesavers
It's
or
pinky
Reese's
up,
Buttercups.
pinky in the air chocolate.
Absolutely. Like
Okay.
it's that leave me alone, don't talk to me right now, I'm eating a C's candy.
Yeah,
That
twirl your
that kind of
mustache.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's definitely something to try at least once. There's
Absolutely.
another brand that kind of reminds me. That's kind of like in the same echelon. I'm trying to. Not sure
We
if I
had a
can
company
remember.
called Fanny Farmers. I don't know if that was a
What
local
was
thing
it?
or not.
Ghirardelli, isn't it?
Ghirardelli, yeah.
Yeah, Ghirardelli. Isn't that kind of in
Yeah,
the
that's
same
in
echelon?
San Francisco. It is, but it's not the same kind of candy.
Yeah, it's a little
they
different.
yeah, they're more of like a chocolatier.
Yeah.
And C's is like they make like old fashioned candy. Like you would go in a store in like the 1930s and they have like
Oh,
every
yeah,
candy you can imagine. Right.
Yeah, their presentation is on point too. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's even an old woman. I guess that's C on the box. I don't know. It's just an old woman.
We don't
It could
know
be
the
any.
history. Yeah.
It could be random. Yeah. It could be. I don't know. But anyway, but as far as gaming, not so much. Not a box of chocolates.
Okay, all right.
So, but yeah, my week has been kind of up and down, and with all the stuff we're going to get into, it has been kind of wild. But I did pick up a new game. I got Days Gone on PC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I got it too.
Did you? Yeah, I got it on the Green Man Gaming. And,
Yeah, it was like $10. I was like, let's do it.
I thank you for that, because you turned me onto that, and I saw that and I'm like, I'm gonna snag that one. So it is it is The Last of Us on motorcycles, with a little bit of Horizon
Open world too,
Zero,
right?
Horizon Zero Dawn kind of thrown in the mix. I feel like this may be like a prequel to both of those games.
They're that similar.
They're very, very similar.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's kind of like, hey, shoot this, shoot that cutscene, go over here, cutscene. So I'm and it's still prompting me for tutorial stuff. So I'm hoping once I get out of that, I can actually get on my motorcycle and take off and shoot some zombies. Of course, they don't call them zombies in this game. They're called freakers. Yeah. So they got to have their own branding. But yeah, so far it seems kind of cool. I mean, I like going through, environments of disarray and finding, like rags and stuff to make bandages and stuff. I mean, now that I say it sounds kind of silly, but yeah, so far I'm kind of having fun.
Yeah,
with
you do
it.
that in real life too, don't you?
Yeah,
I do. I get in a lot of
woods
trouble with it. Yeah, somebody go, "What are you doing in my house?" I'm like, "I'm looking for rags for bandages." Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
What do you call it, Nate? Did you play it too, or I forget?
No, this one never interested me. I was never a big fan of zombies and single player zombies. It didn't have the hype that Last of Us
Too
2 did.
scary.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I think once you get to like kind of later in the game where you kind of encounter like hordes, those are really exciting. I think.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of this game, and I remember, I think I rented it at one point on the PS4, but I didn't play much of it because I mean, it was on the PS4 and whatnot, but on the PC it's got a really good frame rate, and so far it seems to be really stable. I haven't run into anything. But yeah, like the shooting mechanics and the grabbing stuff and quickly crafting it. I mean, it's The Last of Us. I mean, it's scary how much of a parallel of these. I mean, I don't know why they didn't just instead of freakers have what were they called? Spore heads.
I watched the
mushroom
show,
heads.
but I forgot.
I know. God, I just thought about that. Now I'm total blank. I'm glad I'm not the only one blanking on that. But you know what I mean. I mean, they could have just replaced all those zombies with those guys, and had like a spin-off game, and it would have worked perfectly fine. And then he finds this little triangle thing he puts on his ear. And then and then he sees the future, and he sees his great grandmother, Aloy. Bam! Yeah. There you go. I don't know why I'm not working for Sony.
Horizon was also like $13, but I decided to get this instead.
Yeah, I think playing both. I think I'm gonna enjoy this one a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. So I did get that this week. That's the only thing I snagged, and I'm still on the fence about Dead Space. It's everybody's saying it's good. It's looking good. It's super scary. But $60 for a game that I've already played.
Is that out yet? Is that out?
Comes out on Friday.
Oh, okay.
The 27th.
Yeah,
I guess you'll have to see how much they change in it, right?
Yeah, I've watched a video on a couple of things, like graphics, like here's an area in the first one, and here's an area in the second one, or in the remake, and then also some of the gore that they've added, and which is fine. It's not why I play that game, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I'll kind of have to wait and see if it comes out. I mean, when it comes out, what everybody's going to say about it. It might be worth picking up, even though I've played it multiple times. It's $60 on PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a really complex edit in the podcast because I have to ask a question about Days Gone. honestly,
Sure.
if they just called it if they called it The Last of Us Oregon Edition, it probably would have sold a few more million copies, right?
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. Or Oregon Trail, The Last of Us.
Oregon
I don't
Trail,
know.
yeah. Harley
I,
Davidson edition.
I'd
Yeah.
say
Right.
like it's the main
The leather
character,
edition.
I think, that kind of puts people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hear that. I
I
guess
don't really
just
have a
kind of
problem.
generic.
Yeah, well, okay. Initially, I didn't care for the game because the main character wasn't something I was interested in. But
Yeah.
then I played it, and like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I played.
Yeah.
The one thing I really like in that game that I think no other game has done is the bike mechanic. It starts off kind of like rustic, but it gets better, and the bike mechanic feels really good, and the whole refueling adds immersion to the game.
Oh.
Yeah, haven't gotten to that part yet. I
You don't
did.
have a bike yet?
I drove it for a little bit, and on keyboard, it's kind of weird. I wish everybody would adopt the Halo way of driving a vehicle on a PC, where your mouse actually steers like you would steer your character, but yet everybody wants you to use the keyboard to drive a vehicle, and it's not fun. It's really just not fun. But this was fine. I didn't have any issues with it or anything. And motorcycles seem to be hard to get. If you've ever played Ghost Recon Wildlands and got on a motorcycle, I mean, you might as well just strap a grenade to your face, because it's going to end the same way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels really good. And I kind of like the biker mentality of like, here's some bikers, but yet it's the apocalypse and with zombies. I don't know. It's not been done before, so
yeah.
We'll see
I appreciate that. I think they do a good job, kind of like having them, don't judge a book by its cover. I think they're pretty good as in like characters.
Yeah. I do like the main character, the actor. I can never remember his name, but he also did the main character in Force Unleashed. But in this game, he seems a little strained. It's like,
he's trying to trick.
Gotta open the door, and okay, I gotta give me that shotgun. I'm like, is this guy okay? I don't know. Maybe
there's a lot of like those little side voices when he's doing stuff that's a little bit annoying, but
like maybe I should find another way in if because his door's locked. Like, really? It's glad you told me that. Again, he is the great grandson of Aloy, so that makes sense.
You mean Elizabeth?
Oh, sorry, yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So it was. States the obvious constantly. So
all right. I guess I'll jump into my last 7 days, and I'll do it real quick. We don't have to belabor this point. Scott, we played DMZ, right? This is I think this is the last time I'm going to talk about DMZ. I'm still going to play DMZ.
Oh, no, it's not.
I can't keep bringing this up. So you guys have seen A Beautiful Mind or Memento?
Oh, I've seen A Beautiful Mind. It's a fave.
Did you guys see Memento?
Yes, awesome.
I don't remember.
Ooh, so you need to watch it.
Yeah, Memento is awesome. But they're both movies about a main character who like can't trust his mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he has to like learn and trust other people to tell him that they're nuts, right? Or faulty in some way. So I want you two to tell me if my brain is crazy. All right.
Okay.
I hear people talking about like multiplayer games all the time, and you guys have already heard me make this claim, so I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but I have to get it on record one last time for certainty, for posterity's sakes. Okay. They're always talking about like, I feel like stupid stuff that doesn't matter. Like, you hear about gunplay all the time. Like, I was listening to Brap podcast today, and they're like, Halo Infinite's gunplay is phenomenal. And I'm like, that's something I've never heard a multiplayer gamer actually talk about. Like, you hear it like in critic circles, but you don't hear it like, do you like when you're in a Call of Duty like lobby? Do you hear like the gunplay? It feels so exceptional. Do you hear?
I think it's one of those things like where if you get jumping right, no one's gonna talk about it. But if you get it wrong, everyone will know.
Yeah,
so I agree. But here's my question: the year is 2023. When's the last like AAA game that's got it wrong? Like I'm like Overwatch, Destiny, Call of Duty, Battlefield. I feel like they've all played great the last 10.
They've all reached like this minimum, quality.
Yeah, or if they didn't, it was just one patch away from getting it right. Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Battlefield on the console felt really bad initially, like the new one, right?
Oh, it did. No, it did on PC as well. It wasn't just console. It was it was terrible. But like I think the third patch in, it felt good again.
Third patch,
so, right.
So let's see here. So my thing is like I don't think gunplay really matters. Like Fortnite's gunplay, it's just it is what it is. It obviously people who like it's.
I didn't like it. I'll tell you, I didn't like the initial one. I think it feels a lot better now.
I guess my point is like it's the most popular, successful console game in the history of the video game medium. And like if you go on the Reddit, no one is like, well, if they just improve the gunplay a little bit, it would be a better game, right?
So I think initially it helps that Fortnite was free, so people didn't really complain.
Yeah, but
much.
I guess I'm just like we have to start focusing on the things that actually like really improve games, not like minuscule, like improve them, right? Like you can take a few ounces off of a sports car. It doesn't really make the sports car that much faster, that much better, right?
Right.
You got to talk about the big thing, like tires. Our tires, you have good, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Tuning.
So here's my question, real quick. Here's my question. I feel like these multiplayer games, they have three. You can classify them into three categories, right? And again, you've already heard this, so let me just say that. One is you're just running around with no threat around you, right? So Scott, me and you are running around, no danger. We're just kind of casually talking, shooting kind of bad guys. Then there's the second phase, which is you know where enemies are and you're like positioning. You're like you know where they are and you're like ready to approach them, right?
Right.
And then there's 3, which is the fight is on, like the hot, like I'm trying to shoot them, they're trying to shoot me, right? When I'm playing DMZ, there is no number 2. I'm trying to think of all the times I've either died in DMZ or I've killed people in DMZ. I just get snuck up on and I get melted from the back.
Yeah.
So it's like you go from one, like, casual talking, casual gameplay, and it's like, boom, I'm dead. And then you're thinking like, oh, did an AI just kill me? And then you're like looking behind you and you're like, that guy's kind of moving like a human, right?
Right.
So am I crazy in thinking like, instead of talking about gunplay, we have to talk about that second, like that approach segment of these multiplayer games?
No, I think it's something that is, it's something that's new, right? Well, not new, but it's the entire thing is kind of a new game mode.
Yeah.
And if you take Escape from Tarkov out of that, but right, you shooting, AI, is, what they're going to do. They're going to do like one of two things. So unless you have 3 or 4 of them on you and you're running out of bullets, then you're going to do probably fine.
Yeah.
And for me, and my brain locks onto that. So that's my strategy, right? So I'm using that strategy and going through, and then after a while, when you don't see anybody or come into contact with, your threat level goes down.
Yeah.
But then when you get into another fight, and then you realize that the enemy that you were shooting at is not doing 1 or 2, it's doing 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
Then you have to change gears. You then immediately go from single player to multiplayer.
Right.
And that's not something that we deal with a lot or have in the past. Yeah. Unless you only played Escape from Tarkov or only played like the Dark Zone and the Division.
Yeah.
So I kind of see what you're saying. It is a different take, and it takes a minute to kind of, go with that. Because anytime you get hit and you're down, it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like, is that a player? Is that a player? Because you need to know, right? Because
it happens too quickly.
Yeah, you need to let your team know, hey, I got sniped, right. Or I got a grenade or something.
Right.
Yeah. So it's new.
Yeah, and again, I always bring it back to like movies. It's like if you're in a zombie movie, it's not like the characters are walking around and then instantly a zombie kills some main characters. Right. It's like
that would be boring.
It would be boring. It'd be a terrible movie. It's like the characters start like noticing like things like, wait, what's that weird sound up ahead? Or they see the zombies way off in the distance. Like there's like a build up to the action, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like I have listened to so many people talk about multiplayer, and I hear like so frequently, it's like it's the gunplay. It's got exceptional gunplay, and I'm like, that doesn't matter that much, right? But Thick, am I crazy here?
Well, I mean, I'm probably not
You
going to
can
agree.
say
'cause
yes. You can say yes.
I'm not going to agree that gunplay doesn't matter. It does matter.
Well,
I'd
no,
say.
it matters, but like we've
But
solved
I know
it.
what you're saying about.
Yeah, it's
like,
been
that
they
moment.
they got that down with Call of Duty,
Yeah.
4, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and like Doom had 2 multiplayer modes, right? With like everyone says like Doom has like phenomenal gunplay, and I'm like those multiplayer modes were like dead within a week.
Yeah, there's
No
boring.
one plays that stuff, so
Yeah.
clearly that's not like integral to a successful multiplayer game in terms of being exceptional at gunplay. You have to be
I think the Doom one had different problems. Like it's a
Right,
balance.
exactly, yeah.
It's like a
Right,
triangle,
but the point is that it's not the gunplay that is why you're
Right.
playing DMZ.
Yeah.
It doesn't go, oh, I really want that gunplay. I want to go
Right.
play DMZ. That's not it. Yeah.
Right. And it's just so strange to me how like critics and people who are like in this hobby like can't move past like kind of stupid things, right? Like you'll hear a lot of people talk about like battle passes and like, oh, this game's fun to play because the battle pass is really good. And I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like
Yeah, how does that make the game
how does that make the game
like
better?
a
Right.
better game? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess here's what I have to tell both of you. In 3 weeks, when I bring up the same exact story, you have to hit a buzzer and have to just tell me, "Shut up, Nate. You've already did this 7 times." All right? Can you do that?
If I remember.
Remember? Okay. All right.
One thing I would say that it kind of feels like we're mostly talking about kind of emergent gameplay, like just like as a big overall
Yeah.
thing. Because like I think what DMZ does well is, there's a lot of humanoids, so you can't tell whether it's a player or not sometimes. Because
Right.
like in the cycle, which is the similar one, you're not fighting against humanoids. When you see a human, it's a player.
It's a human, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like other things, they're like monsters or whatever, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know how Tarkov is. Like, is Tarkov kind of similar to DMZ or more maybe like the cycle?
I didn't really play much of the cycle. I would say it's probably a little bit, probably in between.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. The Dark Zone has like a lot of enemy AI.
It does, but
Tarkov
it also
doesn't.
has like the UI that kind of indicates it's AI, right? Like it's a little bit different.
Yeah, you'll see a player's name over their head when you're in the Dark Zone, so you know it's a player. And plus, it has proximity chat, just like Call of Duty. So if you hear them yelling, you'll know that that's a player. So there's not a big mistake there. Tarkov, is kind of like the DMC, where you're not gonna know if that's a player until either you hear them or they actually take cover when you shoot them or something to that effect.
Yeah. And I guess too also because I feel like people are so like they're so obsessed with like the old way of how multiplayer was, like the arena shooter style, like the old Call of Duty or Unreal Tournament, stuff like that, where all that game was like half the time you're running around the map looking for someone, and then the other half of your experience is like you're fighting someone one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
So it's like then gunplay might matter a little bit more, but like those games weren't designed around these bigger, more complex, like more things to do, more strategic ways to approach, right?
Yeah, I mean, you had shoot everybody or capture the flag.
Exactly.
That's about
right.
it. Yeah.
And so those games would just constantly feed you 3, like we're gonna let you respawn in 5 seconds, and you're gonna go get that. You're gonna go fight again real quick, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right, I'm not talking about that for another 14 days. Okay.
Remind me in 14 days.
Remind you in 14 days.
Right.
Okay. Well, now's the portion of our podcast where we have to get into the drop. We have to talk about our 3 big news stories, right?
Yes.
I feel like mine, my Buffalo Bills just lost, so I feel like let me start because I don't have a great news story. I mean, is that a great way to like keep listeners engaged to the podcast?
Yeah.
I think so. Bills lost. Got it.
Under promise and under deliver. Yeah. All right. So real quick, HBO just came out with the Last of Us TV show, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like it launched successfully. It has a 99 Rotten Tomato score. It has a 95 user score.
99.
99.
That's insane. Yeah.
Apparently, it's hit 10 million viewers in 2 days, and it's HBO's second largest debut since 2010's House of the Dragon.
Wow, that's really good.
House of the Dragon was their biggest debut. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the show because I'm not interested in that IP at all. I know we should go to Thick because Thick is our resident HBO Last of Us expert. So Thick.
I don't know. Let's hear from Scott first. I think Scott.
Did you watch it?
I don't have to. I played the game.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Scott.
But wait,
Okay.
but wait, that's the point, right?
Well,
This is a close adaptation of the actual video game.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not someone's take on the video
Right.
game. It's actually taking the core game and making a TV show out of it. And guess what? Like you just said, it's extremely successful. Who
Right.
would have thought? Looking at
Right.
you, Halo.
I thought Halo did decent numbers, but Halo was not like people didn't like Halo, right?
Well, they're going back on those numbers now.
Are they?
That's quite. Yeah, there's a couple of people going. Let's see these numbers. Where are these numbers? It's
Yeah.
like you're saying it's
Yeah.
doing good numbers, but you're not actually showing the numbers. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, it's. I mean, I will probably watch it when it gets a couple episodes in.
Mhm.
And because I think it is a good story, and if they do keep close to the story, I think it's just a win for everybody that likes games and everybody
Mhm.
that likes TV shows, right?
Mhm.
And if that makes somebody that may not have maybe played a game or has not played a game in years think, hey, maybe I want to go get a PS5 and play this,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or oh well, it's coming on PC too as well, but you know nobody's gonna go, hey, I think I'll go buy a $5,000 gaming PC. It's like, hey, I'll get a PlayStation. I want to play this because this is like my favorite TV show. Then that's a win. Then you know you've got a new person introduced to a video game, and
Right.
that's incredible.
A little later on in my story, I want to bring up that apparently on certain charts, like Amazon charts, the sales of both games, Last of Us 1 and 2, are jumping up the charts.
Yeah.
Now, who
Yeah, I would
knows
think
so.
how long
Yeah.
term that'll be, right?
With The Witcher 3 saw a huge jump
Oh, did
with
it?
the premiere,
Oh,
with
I
the
forgot
Witcher
about
TV
that.
show, and that's about it. I mean, everybody that's interested in getting it pretty much gets it, and then
Right.
yeah, you're good. So it'll see a spike, and then it'll go down again.
You know,
Right.
by the end of the series, we're gonna get the multiplayer.
I hope so.
So we'll
Or-
see.
Or
I don't-
at the very least, another concept shot.
Right, another drawing.
Hopefully, in 365 days, we get a drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thick, real quick. First of all, did you play The Last of Us, and what do you think of the show?
You know, I haven't played The Last of Us yet. I haven't.
Oh, so okay.
I've watched other people play it, but never have I, done it
See,
myself.
Could you have told us what the story was before you watched the HBO show?
I watched the ending to the game.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
So you know the story.
Yeah, I know the story enough. I don't know all the little details that people, like the little side characters people might like. I think okay, so I watched the show, and I'll just talk about the show from what
Yeah.
from what I saw, very well produced. It drags a little bit. The first episode is an hour and a half, but like the middle part is just, it feels like it's longer than it needs to be. Like
Oh,
I
really?
don't see why people would give it a 99. I would give it a 90, but
Yeah.
like I feel like there's probably a lot of fandom around it just because.
Yeah, well, it's PlayStation.
Yeah.
It gets an extra 5 points on everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I think I'm hoping the next episode's like paced better because it did start to get more
Yeah.
interesting near the end.
So it does kind of leave you on
Yeah.
a cliffhanger of sorts.
Yeah, I think all the actors are well chosen. I like Marlene a lot.
Mhm.
I think she plays the character very well. I like Joel so
Yeah.
far. I don't know if I like Ellie yet, but I haven't played enough the game to kind of get like a feel for her character.
Yeah.
So I'll just watch more of it and see how I feel. I do feel that Sony has a good grasp of how they're gonna handle the strategy to this, because I think with the upcoming multiplayer game, they're releasing part 1 on PC. They're really kind of, everything seems to line up almost like a Marvel movie universe kind of thing. It's lining up. very
Yeah,
well.
the market and everything, the timing is really good, which
Yeah.
that's hard to do, but I mean, seeing as it's a game that's already, it came out in 2013, it's a little easier than having like, Last of Us 3 coincide with a new TV show.
Yeah. And it kind of feels bad too for like say Halo, because like they're struggling over there. Like initially the Xbox One was like focused on entertainment as well, but it's, in a way it's kind of it's kind of ahead of its time, because right now we're seeing the same thing kind of, but it's more accepted.
Did either of you watch Halo?
I did not.
I
tried to, but I didn't get around to it.
Scott, I'm going to compliment that show. Tell me if you agree, okay?
Okay.
Overall, I think I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. There's some action scenes in it that I felt like, okay, they're doing something here. Like there's
I would agree with that.
Yeah, there's like a 15-second or 15-minute segment where I'm like, that's decent action, right?
Yeah. I would say there's 1 second. There's actually one piece of that series that I liked, and everything else was total trash. But and nobody talks about it. I don't know if you noticed it, but he's Master Chief is running, and he's got his pistol, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you're not a Halo fan, you didn't play Halo CE, you know that the pistol is completely OP. I mean, a multiplayer, it's like it's just killer. And for some reason, Jason Jones fixed that at the very end of the game and made it OP. Nope, still nobody knows why. But anyway, so he's shooting enemies with this pistol, and when he runs out of bullets, you hear Katana say, "Switch to your secondary," and he pulls out his assault rifle. So and he says he's like, I know I've done this before or something, but I don't think nobody's ever talked about that. And calling his assault rifle secondary to the pistol, I thought was the only good nod to Halo period in that entire TV show.
That's funny.
You watched the whole thing, Scott?
I did. Okay. Yeah, I did. I mean, I felt like I had to I wanted to talk about it, intelligently and objectively.
Like give a true opinion. Yeah.
Horrible writing in every sense of the word, and take this as if you take the Halo out of it, like if I had never played a Halo game and I watched this TV show, I would still think this is the crappiest show with a sci-fi theme that I've seen in a very, very, very long time. Horrible characters.
Ouch.
The story goes nowhere. There's characters in it that their story doesn't do anything or add anything or even have any meaning in the show itself. And it's just terrible. It's not good writing, not at all. There's TV shows that are just fantastic. When you watch an episode of it, you're like, who is writing this? This is just great. This show, it's like, I don't think anybody's writing it. I think everybody just showed up and they just, said do whatever and they recorded it. It's that bad. I think it's that bad. But yes, I would agree that the action sequences in that were pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's funny because I see season 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe they'll turn around in season 2. Seinfeld season 1 wasn't that good. Simpsons season 1 wasn't that good. Right?
Office season 1 wasn't that good.
Bingo.
Great.
So there's hope. There's hope there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Nate? Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, Thick, you got to get me a lot quicker than that. My brain is long gone from that moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. Remind you in 14 days.
Yeah, right. 14 days, right. All right, Thick. How are you going to contribute to the drop this week? What's your news story?
What is my news story?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of focused on superhero games this week.
Okay.
And I think it was announced that Avengers is being delisted. Marvel's Avengers, the Crystal Dynamics game.
Is it getting delisted?
It's getting delisted on September 30th. It's getting it's getting its final update, update 2.8 on March 31st. After that, it's no longer getting extra content. Whatever kind of like paid DLC stuff will be available to the players for free. But beyond, like September 30th, you can't buy the game anymore on the digital stores.
Wow.
Are servers going down on that day, or is
no? It's
okay,
just being delisted from the stores. You can still play it for the foreseen future. Both single and multiplayer, from what I understand. It's just basically at that point they're calling it quits on supporting it as a live service.
What game are we talking about?
The Marvel's Avengers game.
Oh, okay.
The one that released in 2020, actually. It was released like September 2020. Got really bad reviews. It had a lot of issues. It was buggy. And I think it kind of recovered in some ways, but never like got the audience that they were hoping for.
Well, they wanted it to be Destiny, and nobody wanted that.
Yeah.
I
think it wasn't a surprise to anyone. But you know,
could you call that game just like it's like Double Dragon but in 3D? Was that just like a beat 'em up type game?
I feel like it's a beat 'em up with
just
light RPG mechanics. Like I feel like it would get repetitive kind of quickly, but like if you like playing the characters, I guess it's okay. You know, I recall when it first released, like whenever you get new items, they didn't like cosmetically show up on your character. It was just like this glowing hologram when you look at like your inventory, like what you have on your character. It was really weird. Like I think like it kind of took some people out of that whole RPG aspect of it.
That's a cost-cutting move.
Yeah, definitely a cost-cutting move. Or they couldn't. The thing was that was like 5 months after COVID. I know they're probably trying to polish stuff, and that's probably why it released buggy. But in the end, I like the product. I don't feel Crystal Dynamics is a multiplayer studio, so I didn't see why they took the project. You know?
Yeah. Fortnite gave Superman some guns, and that game did quite well.
Yeah.
You know, so you got.
Speaking of another superhero game, it's kind of a rumor, but comicbook.com reports that some screenshots of the Suicide Squad leaked, and it's kind of confirming that it is a live service game. Basically, you can kind of see the menu, and it mentions battle pass, missions, kind of like like what you kind of expect from a live service game. I was just wondering, I kind of expected this to begin with. I don't know if you guys kind of expected it.
There was actually a rumor several years ago that Rocksteady was working on a I don't think it was a free to play, but it was definitely like a game of service game. But there was a lot of first everybody said it was a Superman game and this and that, and there's a lot of rumors, but that kind of went away quickly. So here we are.
Yeah. I just feel like I kind of expected it, considering like like how it's like this. It feels very similar to Gotham Knights, except Gotham Knights is not really a live service game. So I was not expecting anything Arkham related. I hope no one else was, but yeah.
How does this? Oh my gosh! Here's how terrible my brain is. We just talked about, I feel like, 4 different games, and they all mush together in my brain.
So Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Yeah, but is that essentially Arkham Knights?
We don't really know.
My question is, do we know how it plays?
It looks like it plays like honestly like Gotham Knights, but more shootery.
More shootery Gotham Knights. So it's
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we don't really. We haven't seen. Have we seen gameplay? No, they haven't shown gameplay.
There is gameplay. I don't know. Have you guys seen it yet? Like it visually looks pretty good. Like
yes,
looks next gen compared to Gotham Knights, but it just didn't really entice me, and maybe that's why it's not sticking with you guys, because like it didn't stand out for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been really excited about this game. I mean, I do like Rocksteady. I enjoyed the Batman games.
Yeah.
But as far as like the Suicide Squad, it's a little bit out of my, I guess, comic wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know anything outside of the last movie about the Suicide Squad, to be honest.
Did you watch the first one or the second one?
No, the second one.
Second one? Okay.
Yeah, the one with James Gunn did. I liked it. I thought it was good. It doesn't make me want to play a game with those characters, though. Right?
I agree to that. Like,
I mean, yeah. But I was hoping it would be more like Guardians of the Galaxy, but 4-player co-op.
Guardians of the Galaxy. What the heck is Guardians of the Galaxy?
Did you not play that?
That
game is amazing.
Guys, Guys,
That game was really good. Okay, anybody that played it will tell you that game was.
was this a single player game?
Yep, it was a single player
Okay.
game based on the comic, not the movies.
Yeah.
And it was made by Square Enix.
Was
it's the guy.
wasn't Eidos, was it? Eidos?
No, yeah, it was. It was the guys that made the Deus Ex games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did critically well, not commercially.
Commercially, yeah.
Right. And they didn't really market it at all. I mean, it was kind of like, hey, check this out. And then it came out and that was pretty much it. But yeah, fantastic game. On the new consoles, probably one of the best looking games on the consoles right now. On the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Yeah. So yeah, I was hoping it would be more like that, but with, you could play through the mission or play through the story with 3 of your friends and 4 different characters. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be an open world, go do this, go do that, Destiny style wannabe, and yeah, this makes me even less interested in it.
Yeah.
Prosopagnosia is also known as face blindness or facial agnosia. That's what I have with these games. I literally can't distinguish between them.
Wow.
Okay.
Some $10 words.
Yeah,
Nice.
I knew that from my
The
my
word of the day.
education. Yes. Yes. All right, where were we?
That's all I have. It's just a lot of
That's all you got.
superhero news.
Thick, I appreciate it. You had a good drop this week.
Thank you.
Yes. But to finish our drop section, we got to move it over to Scott. Scott, what do you have for us?
Well, of course, the big story. We got some layoffs, and Microsoft.
Oh, go ahead. No, my bad. I'm stomping over you. Go ahead.
Stop it. No. No. Do you want to add something before I go into this? Because it's kind of like I'm going to take a deep breath and then
No, I was gonna make a joke, but then my brain was like, that joke's not that funny. So we're just gonna take 30 seconds. We're gonna take 30 seconds of the podcast and explain the flub.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So anyway, Microsoft announced some layoffs. That's going to be 10,000 employees.
Scott. I'm just kidding.
Yep.
I thought that was a better joke, but go ahead. Scott.
Well, I think that's
Oh my
news.
God. I'm gonna virtually.
I'm gonna mute my mic. I'm muting my mic.
Okay.
Okay. But anyway, the Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, says the company will be making changes that will result in the reduction of our overall workforce by 10,000 jobs through the end of fiscal year 23, quarter 3, which is, I think, March, about the end of March. So on that first day, this was on Friday, I guess, or I believe, 800 employees were let go. This also affected 343 Industries, the Coalition, and Bethesda Softworks. So we're getting some layoffs. Now, this is alongside of Meta. I think let 12,000. Yeah, 12,000 go. Google.
12,000. That was announced Friday, actually.
Yeah. And then Amazon let several 10,000.
Like
10,000.
at least 10,000 for a lot of these companies.
Yeah. Or projected, right?
Yeah.
Meta was 11. I'm sorry. No, Amazon was 18,000.
Ooh.
Yeah. They might have more employees than Microsoft. So this is not like, well, let's just deal with the facts. Okay. So these layoffs are affecting these game studios. So this is, of course, why we're talking about it. To contradict Twitter, Phil Spencer did not fire these people. Okay. He does not run Microsoft. So what does this mean for Xbox? What does this mean for gaming for Microsoft? And what does it mean for Halo? We don't know. That is a fact. We don't know anything. Right. There's a lot of rumors floating around, but there's also a lot of employees that have left 343, left Coalition, left Bethesda. I actually talked to one of the people that worked at the Coalition, who was in charge of some art that he did for 4 and 5, and he was let go. And as far as Bethesda, there was some other people that were let go. We don't know the numbers of that yet. But as far as 343, I think they verified 80 people of their work staff. Some are saying 130. So that's a large number.
That's like up to 20% around that.
That's almost 20%. Yeah. And that's big. That's bigger than the coalition in Bethesda, obviously.
Yeah.
And again, what does this mean? We don't really know. But if you look at the people that actually were let go, these were high talent. These were people that worked on that worked for BioWare, that worked for I think a couple that worked for the coalition. These are people that have had a long career at 343, and a lot of them worked on the campaign. So the majority of the staff that was let go is from the campaign, and then that's where the rumors start. Okay, so we're going to have to get into the rumors a little bit, but a couple of things have been verified. One is that, and this is the sad part, the DLC that we thought we were getting for the campaign was rumored to be canceled. Well, later it was verified that it was never in production to begin with. So it does make sense that if you've got a campaign and the campaign is finished and nobody's working on more campaign, well, you let those people go. Right. Now, as far as the higher ups and the management at 343, it is not verified yet if any of those people have been let go. It looks like no, they haven't. So it's looking a little grim for them, but at the same time, this is kind of what we wanted, right? This was the hashtag fire 343. And it looks like we're getting it, just not what we wanted, or not who we wanted. Bonnie Ross left in September, and I had the tweet here somewhere. Oh, I'm failing as a podcaster.
Was it from 343?
It was from 343.
I have that as well. Yep.
Yeah, 343 tweet.
I think I shared it
January
with you guys,
21st.
Right?
Yeah, here, let's see, here it is right here. So this is the oops, I put in an extra 3. Don't put in an extra 3 when you're searching for that. Yeah. So I want to read this tweet and then we'll kind of go from there, because this is kind of what we get when these things happen. Okay. So Halo and Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. Pierre Hintz, I don't know how to pronounce his name, studio head. So that comes from the studio head of 343. Now, what do you guys think about this? Because I have my own take about this, and I've seen this before many times. But how do we feel about this? What do we think that is going on there?
So it's all right to be skeptical of these, right? Because it's like Phil Harrison, right? I think you almost kind of brought that up earlier.
Exactly. Hey, everything's good, everything's great, and then by the end of the year they cancel it. Yeah.
No, sometimes it's not even Phil's decision, to keep going or not, right? Like in terms
exactly.
Of,
yeah. Exactly.
Like maybe Phil Spencer wants to keep going, but Satya wants to axe it.
Yeah. Much like this Pierre Hintz is telling everybody, it's good, as he's got a fire extinguisher trying to put out a forest fire. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be very stressful for him in the background anyways, but we'll just have to see how they, how things develop. That's really what we'll know with time.
Yeah. And that's the, I don't know. That's the bad part of it, is we have to wait to know exactly what's going on. But Nate, what do you think about this?
This one's tough for me, because I feel like, I kind of said this after the kind of disappointment that was Halo 5. I'm like, all you got to do is restructure. You got to cut the worst parts of 343 out. You got to have a new direction, and then it's going to be great. And then obviously, I don't know if that didn't happen or what, but
it didn't happen. No.
Yeah. But my brain is Valheim, made by 5 people who aren't experts, and they made a great, super successful multiplayer game.
Right, exactly.
I feel like they give it another crack at it, then there's hope. I feel like the next Halo game, which is going to be 10 years from now, There's a
Right.
chance it's like back on top as a franchise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just too hard to say at this point. Like I kind of feel like all this stuff should have happened closer to release. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I
'Cause
think
what
it's
the heck? What are they doing?
well. Here's some things that we. Okay. You want to hear my take on it?
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
my take on
yeah.
it. Once, Halo 4 was released, and it was like a good campaign. Multiplayer was horrible.
Right.
Halo 5 was released. The campaign was a travesty to writing in general, and that guy was left 343 immediately after launch. But the multiplayer was pretty good. Okay. Both games were commercially successful.
Yeah.
Okay. They made buttloads of money, a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Halo Infinite. The multiplayer is free to play, and the campaign is going to be on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And the whole game itself is $60 at a retail store. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does that even make any sense? Your multiplayer is free to play, but your campaign's $60, which comes with the multiplayer in the store. Oh, but it's also on Game Pass for free.
Yeah.
This game was not successful. It did not make money. That's when
Yeah.
somebody steps in. That's when somebody goes, "Hey, wait a minute. That light went off. Halo's not making money. We need to do something." Which is, money talks. That's what's going on. But we've seen this with other studios before. Mass exodus of talent, games getting delayed or canceled, the infamous "everybody calm down,"
Right.
fill in the blank, and what happens is they go dark for about 3 months. You don't hear anything from the studio, and then in this case 343 Industries. And then it's not announced, but you hear that the studio is shut down, or the so and so left, or they're restructuring it to do something else. And I think that's what we're going to see here. This tweet from Pierre this is all we're going to get right now, because there's only probably 2 people in the world right now that knows what's going to happen with 343 Industries, and he's not one of them. Right?
Yeah, most likely not.
Right. Just like Phil Harrison say, everything's okay. No, it's not. Somebody's going to come to him and go, you're done. Okay. So there was a rumor that they were going to take 343, make them the publishers of Halo. They were going to be the controllers of the franchise, but they weren't going to actually make any games. Okay.
Do you think that would be a good idea? I
think
feel
that
like
is
that's messy.
No, I think that is an excellent idea. I think that to have a studio, or in this case, a publisher, I guess, or an in-house publisher, managing the TV show, the novels, the comics, everything external from Halo, right? It's kind of like how there's teams at Disney that control Star Wars. Yeah. Like, you can't write that book because that doesn't coincide with this book, and that so they control the franchise that way. And that's probably what's going to happen with 343. That makes perfect sense from a business standpoint, is to shrink that studio and make it not a studio. They control Halo, but they don't make the games. So
Scott, I disagree
what
with
companies would you say would develop the games? People are
any one of their 40 studios that they have.
Well, like, which one would you like to have?
Oh, me? I don't. Certain Infinity is making something for Halo right now that's going to be multiplayer. They make multiplayer games. I would not hand them a campaign.
Yeah.
But I personally would like to see, if this acquisition goes through, Infinity Ward make a Halo game. The Coalition to make a Halo game. They don't have to make, just Gears games. I think that they can make a co-op experience and a campaign that's worthy of Halo. It doesn't have to be an open world live service game. That doesn't have to be Halo. But if it is, then they need to get a studio that can do that knows how to do that, and make it into something that is like a Destiny, that is getting new content regularly in that on that Halo that you're now shooting enemies on. But right now, I think that in having someone control that and having someone in charge of, all the multifacets of the Halo franchise, I think is probably a good idea. Instead of just having one studio do all of that and make the games, Halo is gotten bigger than that, and they should keep it bigger than that.
Thick, are you signing off on this?
Well, I want to hear your opinion. You said you disagree.
Yeah. What do you disagree about?
I completely disagree. First of all, they spent how many years have they spent building that studio into a game development studio, right? Like
they spent
years?
three years. Yeah, they officially, I think in 2008, they officially called it 343 and started hiring people. Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like if you're investing that much time and resources and effort into building a game development studio, you can't just be like, okay, guys, we're going to become a publisher. Like Johnny, who's been making levels, you got to be our copyright lawyer.
You can when you just gutted all of your developers.
Well, so they gutted 20%, right? That's kind of what you're saying.
Well, the campaign though, that's they're obviously not going to just shut down Halo Infinite multiplayer. They're going to keep that going. They need people to keep that going.
Do we know they gutted the campaign section of 343?
Okay, we can just say that's more speculation.
Right? Yeah, we can say it's speculation.
We can say that it's just possibility.
Yeah, it's based on, LinkedIn updates and Twitter updates and people saying, yeah, I left and this is what I did and that kind of thing.
Because I will say it's like, and Scott, like I think you were saying this earlier, like every AAA game that releases, like you build up, you hired, a lot of times temporary developers, and right at the 6 months prior to launch, you have the highest number of employees that you have, right? Then once the game releases, everyone just naturally releases employees, right?
Right.
So I feel like when you put it in that context, it's like that 20%, like maybe it should have been 12%. So it's a little bit heavier than normal, but it's not like end of the world, right?
No, I don't think it's the end of the world, but you're missing a key factor. They had a 10-year plan with this game, and it wasn't just multiplayer. Yeah. It was, they lined it up with a DLC. They even called it the Endless.
I have a counterpoint for that. Okay,
go.
Yeah, January 28th, 1986. I do some Googling when you're talking.
1986.
The Space Shuttle Challenger. Do you guys remember Space Shuttle Challenger?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. It was a horrible event.
Live on TV. Yeah,
perhaps a more serious event than what we're making it out with the video game thing. But this is their Challenger, right? This was like a disaster of a game, right?
Well, one of three. Yeah.
Yeah, I would almost say this is. Would you say this is their worst Halo yet of the three they've done?
As far as success, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I'd say it's their most messiest, and I would say I have my opinions. Mostly, I think the biggest problem, like in the background, is them developing a new engine. I think they spent a lot of resources on that.
Yeah.
To really.
Well, they had to. The previous engine was just not gonna. They couldn't use that again for the new hardware. It just it was going to look like Halo 5. They needed new, and Bonnie Ross herself said the developers have been asking for this. They've wanted a new engine, they wanted the new tools, and we've been delaying that, and so now we're getting it to them. Which was a reason why it wasn't
right. Even the lead engineer for that is gone. So
had they just bought Unreal Engine 4, and just used that, and then gotten, added new staff that's comfortable with it. I don't know. I'm not a studio head, obviously, but they had to have a new engine. But you got to remember, other studios do the same exact thing.
What do you mean?
Well, Bungie made their own engine for Destiny.
Oh, right.
And then even with Destiny 2, they're like, this engine's not working. We need to work on a new one. So they go to another engine for Destiny 2, which was released 3 years later. Yeah. So it's not like it's, this is the deal breaker. This is the fault line, that the earthquake started at. This is just mismanagement from the very core of the studio of not putting your development team on what's important and what needs to get done, and releasing a game that is absolutely, positively, 100% not finished and doesn't even have core segments of it that are in the previous versions that you come to expect. Imagine a Call of Duty being released with only
no
one
zombies.
Game mode, or no zombies or no secondary mode, right? Just multiplayer and just campaign.
Yeah.
And then
You
them
kinda
going,
argue that
well,
with
we're still
Vanguard,
working on it.
actually.
What's that?
You could kind of argue that with the Vanguard because the zombies was kind of lackluster.
Yeah. And of course they cited COVID for a lot of these problems, a lot of the delays, but yet other studios were releasing equally, quality or games that match the same quality that were actually finished and had, they were at full capacity when they launched. So it's just it's sad.
Tell me if you guys think this is a plausible scenario, okay?
Okay.
They launch Halo Infinite, and instantly they're looking at player metrics on how this game's doing, right?
Right.
And they're seeing how many people are playing our game, how long are they playing it for, when do they quit, when, they're looking at all that data, right?
Exactly.
And they see the multiplayer. Now, back when the multiplayer came out, Battlefield was taking all the hits in the media, right? They were saying Battlefield was but honestly, if you look at the player retention data, Halo Infinite was slightly better than Battlefield at the time. So do you think there's a chance they're just like, oh my gosh, we made an arena shooter in 2021. Like this was a huge mistake because we never should have done this, right?
I think you just hate arena shooters.
Well, no, but honestly, if we look at that style of game, like there's no hits, there's no, right? What, do you remember for a
by
month?
Saying that though, you're saying that the multiplayer is not fun.
I am saying that.
Okay, so you're hating on it.
I guess what I'm saying is what was that game, that indie game made by two kids? It was hot for a month and then everyone quit playing it. Splitgate.
Slipgate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's basically an arena shooter with a little gimmick where you can you can go, and that game was everywhere in the media. People were fawning over it, and then it was just oh yeah, it's another one of these that I feel like the market's kind of moved past from. So do you think there's a chance?
You could say the same for Battle Royale. A lot of Battle Royales get announced and just
there's people that have gone away from that and they don't play them anymore.
Okay, but here's
Radical
here's
Heights.
The difference.
Ooh,
here's the difference though. When Radical Heights fails, PUBG is still has 300,000 concurrent users.
Yeah, but you can't compare PUBG with Radical Heights. PUBG was one of the first.
Yeah, you kind of can, because they're both BRs, right?
Yeah, but PUBG was in the market first, and then Fortnite took a little portions of that sort of market, and then there's basically three major, or actually 4 major games now. Actually, I don't even know if PUBG is really major at this point.
No, it's super major. It's I'm telling you guys, I check this on Steam all the time. It's consistently the 4th most played game on Steam.
Okay.
And then even more successful on mobile. It's still a huge mobile.
Oh yeah,
mobile.
Mobile is one thing. Yeah.
And then I think on console, it's Fortnite's massive, Apex is massive. The Warzone's massive. So I feel like we have a lot of examples of the modern market embracing these different type of multiplayer games.
Okay, what's the 5th one? What do you think is the 5th most popular battle?
Naraka Blade Point does really well on Steam.
No.
No, I mean, Naraka Blade Point does way better than Halo Infinite on Steam.
I would say
that's terrible.
Partly because it is a unique take though on Battle Royale compared to the other 4.
Yeah. But let me go back to my point though, because I know I hear a lot of people are this game only failed because they didn't support it like Epic supports Fortnite. And then,
no, I don't think that's the case.
But you do hear that, right? And I'm well, Fortnite didn't have any updates for the first 2 months of its existence. But the reason why Epic added all these updates to it is because they saw the player metrics. They saw oh my gosh, people are not putting this game down. Do you think,
RIP Paragon? That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, right. But do you think 343 is looking at this and being why are we investing in a BR? We don't believe in, and not in a BR, in a arena shooter. We don't think if we put all our 600 employees on new maps and new arena shooter stuff, we don't think it's gonna become one of the top games, right? So what do you think?
I think
go ahead.
the arena shooter is the identity of Halo. If they didn't have that, you would alienate so many fans. You'd lose your hardcore base. Yeah, I mean they've already lost a fair amount. But
but the arena shooter has already alienated all its fans because Halo is not a top game anymore.
Yeah, they've proven they don't even care about core fans. I mean that's not what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, and like, do you guys like that Tatanka's coming out in a year or two or whatever, whenever? Don't you guys think like it's shoo-in to do better than the arena shooter like Halo Infinite
Wait,
vanilla?
which one?
That rumored Tatanka battle royale game for
Oh,
Infinite.
Oh, okay.
Like I think it's like I would bet my life it's gonna retain players much better than
I don't know.
No,
You
no, I think you're right. I think that if I know why they didn't want to launch with a BR, because they wanted to establish that Halo was back. Halo is, it feels like Halo again.
Right.
And essentially they accomplished that. I mean, the multiplayer is better. It does feel more like Halo.
Yeah.
And as far as, and as far as me, a longtime Halo player, I enjoy it. It's got some problems that they're obviously not fixing, but I see your point, Nate, though, that it is a style of gameplay that is not trending.
Right.
And I think that was their decision to go free to play on the multiplayer, because they knew that if they put Halo Infinite out there with a $60 price tag, with the multiplayer and the campaign, just like they always have, and then put it on Game Pass like they have with every other game, that they weren't going to make the money on it, and they knew that. So to combat that, they made the multiplayer free to play and put in a horrendous store and try to recoup what they lost, that $100 million or whatever they spent on making Halo Infinite.
Yeah. But so, let me finish my question real quick. Is it feasible? Is it possible in your mind that they real early on, they're like, we're never going to turn this arena shooter style gameplay around. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a skeleton crew on this game, just let it like flounder. And what we're going to do is we're going to help Certain Affinity make the big battle royale of 2024.
Yeah, that's very feasible. That's actually, or they could, they put a skeleton crew on Master Chief Collection and Infinite, and keep that at the bare minimum of employee. And then as far as the campaign or anything else, they're going to go for a full 100% reboot of the entire Halo franchise. Yeah. And then with either a new studio, dear God, I hope not, or a more established studio that does first-person shooters very well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that could be any studio, but no, you're absolutely right. I think that's very feasible.
And I bring this up because a lot of people are like, they're bearing dirt on 343, right? And I'm just like, well, you should really only bury dirt on 343 if you think the past 2 years they've been trying to add updates to the arena shooter Halo Infinite. Because if they spent 2 years essentially doing extremely little as a 600-person studio, then shutter the whole studio. But I don't think they're doing that. I think they're spending their resources a little bit smarter than the perceived what video game
I don't think they're managing their resources at all. I think that is the problem. I think that is why the people are getting laid off, and they're not done. There's 10,000 people. There's going to be more layoffs at 343. I guarantee you. Mark my words. There will be more and more at 343 as they wind it down and do something completely different with it. Yeah. Because again, everybody was begging Microsoft to do something about 343 since 2012, and they didn't do it because it was making them money. And that's how business is. They don't want to change something if it's making them money. Now that it's not making them money, now they're having to do something. Now they're having to step in and go, okay, we need to make some changes. Okay.
I don't even know if 343 really made them that much money, because I feel like a lot of the audience already left by Halo 4. Like, I feel like they keep it around because of what Phil basically said. It is the identity of the Xbox brand. Yeah. So I feel like that's partly why they keep it around, but they're just having a hard time.
Halo 4 sold a lot of copies, and Halo 5 sold a lot of copies. Again, it's Master Chief on the cover in a store. There's people out there that don't know anything about this. They don't even know that a different studio made 3 and 5. They don't know that. They just know that it's the new Halo. I'm going to grab it and buy it. And with it $60 sitting on a shelf, not digitally or, then it makes money. It makes tons of money.
Yeah, real quick, a Google search says Halo 4 grossed $220 million in its first 24 hours, marking a new record for the series.
Yeah.
Halo 4 was the third most sold video game of its, and I don't know what they say after that.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, Scott. I think Halo 4 and Halo 5 did pretty well for them.
Yeah. Are there even numbers for Infinity? Because it's not. It's. I mean, I didn't buy it. It's on Game.
I'm assuming
on
those
Game
numbers.
Pass.
Yeah, I think those numbers are bad. Yeah.
It's terrible.
I think if anything, they have player count numbers for that one.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but
and they're not good. Yeah.
No.
Not good at all. So that's when there's.
Player count numbers in terms of like how many people tried Halo Infinite. I think that's a lot because of Game Pass, right? Like 90% of Game Pass subscribers are trying Halo Infinite, right? But it's how many are sticking with it, right?
Yeah, and there's a large group that was waiting to buy the game until split screen co-op was available, because that's how they enjoy Halo. There's so many people. If you go to Reddit, you saw so many people saying, "This is how me and my brother play Halo," or "This is how me and my son play Halo. We always sat on the couch together and played at split screen." So that's what we were waiting for. And and then when they canceled that, that's all you saw. We were waiting to get this for this and this. They haven't even touched or even spent a dime on it, waiting for split screen co-op. And for me, I don't care about split screen co-op. I don't have anybody in my house that I play split screen with.
Yeah.
My wife has her own Xbox. We split screens like 2005. But there's a lot of people that were expecting that, and that hit them. I think that hit them harder than they realize. Especially when they're like, you know what, we're openly telling you we're taking our resources from that and we're moving it to the live service game. And that said a lot about the company and what their intentions and
it's a
that
bad faith move kind of.
It was a bad faith move, and I think that hurt them financially.
Yeah. Well, do you think we've spoken our piece on 343?
Yeah.
Let's get into the rumor section. This is an exciting section. We've already talked about 343 rumors, but there's 4 other rumors I want to get to. Let's start with the most exciting, which is Ubisoft. Okay, I think I can hear your heart rate through your mic. It just
I could hear you pronouncing it. Yeah.
Thick, I want you to tell me if this is a good lineup for Ubisoft for 2023, because apparently Tom Henderson has leaked all 11 Ubisoft games for this year.
Ooh, 11. That's more than I expected. Okay.
Well, there's some mobile games in there, but are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. The Division Heartland. That's a free-to-play console game. Avatar Frontiers. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. X Defiant.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Ooh.
Skull and Bones.
Nope.
Apparently, there's going to be a new The Crew racing game. Assassin's Creed Nexus VR.
Nexus VR.
An Assassin's Creed VR game?
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe like
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. The Division Resurgence mobile, Rainbow Six 3 mobile, Assassin's Creed Jade mobile, and Assassin's Creed Netflix adaptation. Is that a good year? Is that a strong year?
Well, the last thing's not a game.
I know, but I guess that's a big thing for Ubisoft, right?
Well, as long as they stick to the game and don't go outside of it. But yeah.
Is that going to get the internet off Ubisoft's back?
No,
not at all.
So.
No.
I think Avatar, that Avatar game could be big.
It could be. I do like Massive in terms of like what they made so far, but this is their first time. Like, I don't see how they're gonna change it from the Division, to be honest, for some reason. Like, I'm just envisioning Avatar, but basically the Division. Yeah, a Division reskin is Avatar, like almost. Yeah. But I'm hoping I'm wrong.
So you think you're gonna like climb up a tree and get missions?
Almost like
and then
that.
go.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't think about that. Thanks, you just ruined it for me.
Because like it's a cover-based game. Well, not Avatar, but like it's just like I can't shake that until I see actual gameplay. Yeah. I want to see actual gameplay. So, but I mean, anything Division, I'm up for, because like I mentioned, I replayed Division on Stadia for a little bit. It was fun. I like Stadia. I mean, sorry, I like the Division in general. So
yeah, I have a prediction for you. I think in about 11 months, Ubisoft employees are going to be carrying out Yves Guillemot on their shoulders like he's Rudy, he just won the football game. They're going to be cheering Yves Guillemot name, and they're going to be praising him to no end. That's what's going to happen.
Wow.
Now I'm just imagining Cool Runnings.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one, which I think Thick might have something to say here.
Oh wait, one thing.
Go ahead.
What do you guys think about a Netflix adaptation of Assassin's Creed?
I'm not interested.
No,
Not
thanks.
interested?
No. I think it could be big. I think it could be successful.
It could be big for them. Like, could
Right.
be what Cyberpunk. What?
Do we know if it's live action or if it's an anime?
I don't know. I think
I don't know either.
most likely it's probably live action, right?
Yeah, I lean that way.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right, rumor number 3, we'll call it. Bloomberg is saying that Nintendo is ramping up Switch production in the next fiscal year. This is an unusual move for a console in year 7. More Switches next year, or this year, I should say.
You know why, right? Breath of the Wild 2.
Breath of the Wild.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hope they release a special edition. I might pick that up, but yeah.
I will say this. It's fascinating hearing internet discourse be like, oh, we're getting ready for the new Switch, right? And I'm like, that thing is the most profitable time for the Switch is right now because the component cost has plummeted over the last 7 years, right? And
Yeah.
they haven't had a price drop on it.
Right.
So why is Nintendo in a hurry to stop making the most successful console they've ever made?
Well, I think you answered that question with your question, right?
Yeah.
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 They're not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
They don't want their costs to go up, and especially right now when we're seeing a lot of layoffs with tech companies because there's a massive hiring. Even Microsoft in between 2020 and 2022 hired 40,000 people.
Yeah.
So them laying off 10,000, after everybody's going back to work and they're restarting projects and this and that, and it's it's the end of the year. It's just business stuff. So Nintendo is they're just going to keep making money on that.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to buy one this year.
You're going to do it?
I'm probably going to return it within 30 days too.
Oh, nice.
After
If
you
I'm not-
finish
If I'm not fully satisfied, no,
Zelda?
Scott. If I'm not fully satisfied, I'm going to return it in 30 days. Probably
Oh,
day
okay, I got
29.
you.
Flexing your warranty or
Yeah.
your return policy. Good.
Consumer rights, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to rumor number 2.
All right.
Respawn is making a first-person shooter Star Wars game, and job listings are asking for developers with multiplayer experience.
Mm.
You sound very happy about this.
Yeah, I'm hoping they cancel the single-player portion, and I hope it's a VR.
Oh my God.
Battlefront
A Star
3
Wars VR.
Royale.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, what about a Call of Duty-ish campaign and multiplayer? Traditional.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
think that
point.
would
make
be cool.
Make a 6-hour campaign that looks really good in commercials.
Yeah, they there was a studio that was actually working on one. I saw some footage of it leaked, many years ago, and it looked really good. It was like a Call of Duty Star Wars game.
Oh, really?
And of course it got canned. That was at the low point of LucasArts and before they got completely shut down. And I think a lot of projects that were being worked on just got canned just because.
Yeah.
But Respawn doing it, I would enjoy that. Yes.
I'm wondering if it's Respawn, is this still going to be the Source engine?
That's a good question. They used Unreal for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's probably going to be Unreal.
Isn't this is this the open world game that they're rumored to be making? Who knows?
Is it?
I don't know.
I thought that was Massive is working on a Star Wars open world single player game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Respawn, we don't know yet. We just know
Right.
it's first person.
Yeah. Very good. Scott. Very good.
Yeah. So I don't know. And it's not the same team that is obviously working on Jedi Survivor.
Survivor, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And our last rumor of the week makes Nate very sad. A leaker over at Reset Era says that Tomb Raider is coming about a year before Perfect Dark, as Perfect Dark has hit some road bumps in its development.
Cancel it.
Yeah, that was my
Prediction, right?
Yeah, I don't feel quite as confident in that prediction now. Yeah. So we'll
You
see.
know, what was it? One of my predictions was that Microsoft might buy Asobo, but it seems less likely with all the cuts right now and the ongoing issue with ABK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to purchase anything until that either fizzles out or goes through.
If I'm Phil Spencer, I'm saying I'm making a public announcement saying we're buying Ubisoft as well, and I'm saying it right now. You know,
That's your prediction?
that's that's what I would do. That's what I would do.
One thing that Jez Gordon, I was listening to another podcast that he was on, and he said something that really disturbed me, and I didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the way that Microsoft has handled Halo and 343, and is this who we want in charge of Call of Duty?
Wait, who?
Microsoft.
I feel like Microsoft's best asset is like, yeah, well, we can delay your game for a year and then we can give you more money. As long as they do that with people, the competent developers are going to benefit, right?
I mean, the reality of it is that they're going to let, they're not overtaking Activision and Call of Duty. I mean, they're just going to those studios will work exactly like they are right now, probably just with better benefits and more money,
right?
And, that kind of thing.
Right.
Because they do have this hands-off approach, but it did kind of, makes you, it puts that thought in there, it puts that thing in the back of your mind where it's, is this what we really, really want? I would like more, I would like nothing more to see Bobby Kotick like carrying a cardboard box with all of his crap in it, walking out the door, being escorted by security the day this goes through. But
put him in a pillory.
Yeah. Right. Let the employees throw tomatoes at him. Right.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean that's again the reality. That's probably not gonna happen. But yeah, just kind of put that out there. Kind of disturbing.
Thick, what do you think?
I don't really have a thought. I'm just gonna see what happens.
Yeah. Wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Switzerland.
All right. Well, we have to get into our final segment of our podcast, which right now is called the Big Talk. Okay, this is the big talk of our section of our podcast.
Oh, I've had this one. It's the birds and the bees, and a man and woman love.
Okay. Gather around.
Right. Now, last week I feel like I took up a lot of time, so I'm gonna go last this week if we have time for me. Okay. I feel like Thick has been a little quiet, so we're gonna start with Thick. Real quick, do we have 5 minutes to answer a quick question for me? That's not how you started, Thick.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be big talk for me. It's going to be small talk for me. Okay. So you guys know I'm obsessed with multiplayer. That's right. I'm bringing it back to multiplayer.
You
all
are?
right. Yes, I am. So I'll Google things like PlayStation Live service in the future of multiplayer, and I'll listen to big podcasters, little podcasters, and a lot of them will criticize like free to play and live service games because they say it influences a game's design, right?
I think it does to an extent.
I think it does too. Like, trust me, I'm super like putting my guards up whenever they talk about it, and yet I agree with them to a certain extent, right? But here's my question: all business models influence game design, and how come no one ever talks about the full-priced game influencing game design? Right. So the full-price game, the $70 game, pay up front before you play. That game benefits on giving the consumer giving all their money without playing the game, right?
Right.
So clearly that's gonna create certain incentives for developers to take money from consumers, right?
You kind of see that with open world games, right? They pad a lot of things.
Yeah.
I agree they pad. I also feel like a big aspect. I'm not a big graphics guy, right? I feel like I'll play a game with great graphics, and within 5 minutes, I'm just thinking about like what the game's asking me. I'm not really oohing and eyeing over every little detail, right? And I feel like, to a certain extent, aren't games with like a phenomenal graphics slightly more casual in nature, or slightly more like simple? Or do you know what I'm saying? Am I not using my words correctly here?
Maybe not. I'm not following you.
Like. A game that says like, okay, we're gonna have bleeding edge industry graphics, right? I think of the last game that I thought of was Resident Evil 2 remake. That game looked great, right?
Yeah, it did.
And essentially, that game was like That game came out on the N64.
Right.
So a game that came out in 2022 basically was the same game design or very similar game design as an N64 game. And you know me, I'm always like, let's advance gameplay. Let's not stay 20 years in the past. Let's like move things forward.
Right.
So obviously Resident Evil 2, they're asking people to pay full price up front. They're getting that money, and then we find out, like, if you look at trophies, only about 38% of people will finish that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means the majority of people who are giving a company $70 are too bored to finish the game. They're too disinterested to finish the game.
Okay.
So my thing is like, well, wouldn't games be better if, like, you know, you go to a restaurant and you pay for your meal at the end of the meal, which means like you're not paying before
you're
the
doing
meal.
this again. Okay.
Oh, did I bring this up before?
You did.
I did. So do you guys think there's something to that though?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that, but it's not a meal. It's entertainment. So when you go to a movie, you buy that ticket to see the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Much like a game, they get that money up front,
right?
Because that's what pays for, you know, the game itself.
Yeah.
But
would single player games be better if they said, okay, you completed our game, please play us what you want or what you feel is
Oh, that's
no,
not
but
gonna work.
I think that if you had a chunk of the game that say it's a 40-hour game, right? Something like Assassin's Creed.
Right.
Well, no, that's a 120-hour game. You know, something like, say, The Division, for one, which is like a full price game when it came out. If you had, say, you could play 20 hours of that game for half the price.
I like this. Go on.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you pay, you know, $30 to pay, and you're kind of on a timer, and then you get close to that time, it's like, hey, if you're enjoying this game, you know, pay for the rest of it. And you know you're at a halfway point, right?
Yes. What would that incentivize developers to do?
Well, for one, somebody would not have to invest $60 into the game that they may or may not like. $30 is better than $60, obviously, if you're paying for a game. And that price can give you it could alter your opinion of the game that you're playing. And we've talked about this before. And when you pay $60 for a game and it's kind of just okay, you're like, God, this is terrible. But if you only paid $20 for it, you're like, I can get into this. This is $20. I can play this.
Yeah.
You know, so that does weigh in on your opinion. I mean, anybody that's paid $60, gone home, spent 2 hours with the game, and thought, I just got taken for $60, you know, knows this. But if you could pay a portion of it and play a portion of it, I think that you're going to make money maybe where you wouldn't have. You're going to make some money where you wouldn't have made any money at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. How crazy is that?
The model has been tried before in the episodic model, right? To an extent.
And it doesn't work.
No, that is where you don't get the full game at purchase. You get it, they kind of feed it to you. And that's backwards and wrong, because you're paying money for content that you don't know what it is and you don't know when it's coming out, right? So this would be, the game is finished, you have the entire game available to you, but you're only paying for a portion of it. And then if you do like it, then you can pay for the rest of it.
Well, you could still kind of do that with these games, but it's only after they all come out. It's like the Telltale games. Like like Walking Dead. Okay, yeah. So but when it's released, are you still able to buy the first episode, or do you have to buy the whole thing? I think what they do is the first episode is free.
Okay.
And then afterwards you can choose to buy the rest.
So that's like a demo. Yeah. And demos are always great. I love demos. Everybody loves demos.
Well, no, I don't think everyone loves demos, Scott, because if you notice, publishers don't do demos anymore, or not as much. They do them.
Well, they don't make them any money, because sometimes they play the demo and.
But Scott, that's my point. Like these companies don't want you playing their game, because they know the reality is, if you play 2 hours of our game, you're not going to be as excited about spending $70 on it, right?
Right.
You have to really believe in your product. If you're like, okay, here's our.
You got to have a good pilot episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you got to hook them. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my question for you guys is if you became, I'm going to become the video game czar in the future. You know that. Yeah. So choose your words wisely. If you were to become the video game czar, what business model would you announce that you think would lead to the best games?
Oof,
Do you think it's full price up front?
Wow.
I know
I
me.
think it depends on the game. It's got to depend on the game, right?
Yeah. I know me. I'm like, the reason why I think free to play leads to the best games is because it's like you come sample our product. If you're happy, buy a side thing that doesn't matter, but keep playing our product, right? Right. So I feel like that leads to the most competition. Like that's like, I'm going to compete against every other game that's free, and we're going to beat you because we're more fun than you. We're more engaging than you.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like a lot of times these single player AAA games say, oh, you're going to buy this game because we're going to excite you up front, and we're just going to kind of steal your money real quick. And then who cares if you don't finish our game?
Yeah, we can use what was the first BR that came out with Call of Duty? Was it Blackout? It was Blackout. Yeah. Okay, so Blackout came with, well, I don't know, Black Ops 4 or anyway, a full title release, right? So you basically had to pay for it. If you just wanted to play Blackout, you would have to pay you would have to buy the whole game.
Right.
It wasn't very successful. Warzone comes out and it's free to play and it's hugely successful. There's not a lot of difference between those two games and those two game modes. Is it because it's free to play that it's successful, or is it because it's a better game? I mean, could you even answer that? You see what I'm saying? You don't know what's going to make money and what's not going to make money. And you can, use analytics and trending and everything, but that's probably one of the hardest decisions they make when they release a game. Is it, should we do free to play or should we do, a full price game? Right. I mean, look at Halo Infinite. We use that as a perfect example. Yeah. Here's perfect the campaign. Example. You got to buy the game to buy the game to play the campaign, and you get multiplayer, but multiplayer is free.
Yeah.
Or it's on Game Pass and all of it's free. I mean, that's just too. How do you even make money with that? I mean, you have to make money in the multiplayer store.
I know how you make money with it. You have to be the best, it's like a lion in its pride. You have to be the fiercest, strongest, youngest lion to dominate the rest of the competition, right?
Yeah. And if you're not that, you're not going to make money.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, right? Because
for sure.
It's really hard to break in, especially if you're another BR right now.
Right. I know I'll read a lot on the internet. People are like, they shouldn't make these games as service games because a lot of them fail. And then obviously you're like, well, really,
what's the alternative?
The alternative, what they want is they want you to just make a bunch of AAA single player games, right? And I'm like, well, there's a lot of, like, Callisto Protocol just came out that didn't meet expectations, right?
No.
And I'm like, I guess I'm just upset. I just think about, like, what business model leads to the highest quality games, right? Because there's actually a few.
Quality. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few different business models out there. Like, there's not just free to play and pay in full, right? There's like.
Well.
Oh, go ahead.
Man, that's a tough question because quality is subjective, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is quality?
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I see where you're going, and I see what you're asking. I just don't think there's an answer to it. I
know. I think, but I guess, going back to my video game czar thing, I think if you told all these single player companies, like, you have to give everyone access to half your game. And then at the halfway point, you're going to say, all right, to play the next half of the game, you have to give us $70. I think that business model would lead to higher quality products.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Because
I think you're
like, point,
I think you get a couple of FUs and thanks for the free game.
No,
yeah, pretty much.
So
I think Game Pass is a better option than that.
Yeah.
Wait, so you think
that's your answer?
You lead to better game design with Game Pass? I can be convinced of this. I can be convinced.
I think I mentioned it before. Those $20 like Knockout City and all those? I think those benefit from Game Pass more than certain other titles.
Yeah. It's got to be a stand-up title. I mean, you've got to have a quality game. Now that something like Game Pass is bigger, it's just like Netflix. You can't put like a homebrewed movie on Netflix. It's got to be it's got to compete with those, number one movies.
Right.
So it doesn't lower the quality of the game. It may even, raise it.
And I think it gives certain studios more opportunities for more creativity, like Scorn, and maybe
absolutely.
like Pentiment. Pentiment is a great
perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah. I just know I always think of like snake oil salesmen back in the Old West, and they're like, buy my snake oil for a ton of money, and then in 2 weeks after you use it, your loved one is going to be cured of his illness, right? And then at that point, 2 weeks down the road, the snake oil salesman goes to the next town. Right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, yeah, I really how snake oil salesmen make their money is they get you to believe you're going to have a great product. They take your money, and then if you don't have a great product, they just walk away and they say, "Oh, tough luck. Try to do more research next time." Right?
Wow, that's Ubisoft.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, it is.
You just described Ubisoft. Well, right. Yeah, any publisher. Yeah, I get that. I think it's just tropes of being a gamer and trying to decide on what's a good game, what you want to put your money into, and and what you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we don't have to belabor the point. I just know whenever I would look at that trophy data of like people finishing games, like I'm always like, a lot of these games, half the people aren't finishing them. I'm like, why does no one ever talk about this, right? But my theory is a lot of times it's just something you're used to, right? Games have always been this way, therefore, it's how we think things should be, right?
You can say that.
Yeah. But we
get used to it.
About this. We get used to it. Yeah. Guys, this is our longest podcast yet.
Should I do my big talk?
Do you have one?
No, Nate.
Oh my!
Okay, I got a really quick one for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you guys noticing a trend lately in gaming? A theme?
Layoffs?
Oh, okay. Too soon for that. But
okay. Sorry.
The theme I've been kind of noticing is the vampires are coming back.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We got Redfall. We had Vampire Survivors, V Rising, Vampire Masquerade.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how long is this going to last, and what do you think would be the next theme that we'll see?
Well, what we get is zombies, which is, we've kind of drawn that out. Vampires, and it's always followed by werewolves.
Werewolves.
Yep.
Oh yeah. The next
you think we'll see werewolves?
That's
in
the
Redfall,
rotation.
Maybe.
Yep. I don't know.
That's a good question. That is a good question.
It's something to chew on. That's all I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll think about it for next time.
There's some good vampire movies out there. Is it called Let the Right One In, or Let Me In? There was like a foreign language version.
That is actually two different movies. I believe.
One was the foreign language one. One was the American remake, right? But those were both pretty good, I remember.
Yeah, it's on my watch list on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, because apparently you have to invite a vampire in order for them to kill you, I think.
Right. In order to enter their house, you have to openly invite them.
Yeah. Bizarre rules make for an interesting world, right?
I agree. That's the old world stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Garlic and holy water. I love it.
Yeah. Thick. How do listeners reach this podcast? How do they do it?
Through our new YouTube channel.
Yes. Go on. Continue. What is it? No, we only have one subscriber.
What is it?
We only have one subscriber right now. I cannot believe we don't have 2 subscribers, which is really...
No. You got 2 subscribers right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Guess who it is?
It's probably 2 random people that just...
Probably. I mean, I'm not subscribing to that. There's no video on it.
No. I'm constantly trying to hack into bank accounts whoever subscribes. I think it's possible.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
And so obviously that podcast or that YouTube channel is called the Supply Drop Podcast, right?
Yes, you can catch us there as along with Apple Podcast and Google and Spotify and all the good stuff. Yeah.
Mark my words. I'm gonna add something to the script where this section is a little smoother than what it is right now. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you caught us off.
You should just pre-record it and stick it on the end. And
I know.
That way.
I know.
Yeah.
but I'm not going to do that. I don't know.
No,
why.
I know.
Okay.
You know. But I think at this point we say goodbye, and then we say see you in 7 days, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Adios, listeners.
Later.
Adios.
Did it stop recording?